I've just spent the last 5 days building my very first bicycle frame from scratch on the Stayer Cycles Framebuilding course. For those that don't know, I actually work at Stayer Cycles. I essentially do a lot of the marketing type stuff in the background, like videos, photos for Instagram and YouTube channels and anything like that. One of my favourite parts of my job is actually spending time watching people do the course. Seeing people take essentially a box full of tubing and then turn that into their dream bike is one of the best things to see. And it looks a little bit like this. Being someone who does what I do, which is essentially builds and restore retro bikes and bikes of all sort of ages, if I'm honest, and take them from a frame into a bike is fascinating. It's one of my favourite things to do, and that kind of joy you get at the end when it becomes a full bike is amazing. And one of the things that I've always seen and appreciated with the course, or people building frames in general, is taking those tubes and the idea from your head into that final product is just amazing. It's such a cool thing to be able to achieve. Now, like I said, I do work at Stayer Cycles, so this is very much 100% an ad. I've been trying to work out a good way to actually be able to demonstrate the course in a way that shows you the journey and kind of gives you a bit of a background, in-depth way of doing it, but we're very lucky that we get people come and do the course literally from all over the world, so to be able to tie those people down, sometimes a little bit tricky. So I very selfishly thought, why don't I build a bike on the course and make this video series? So this is part one of a probably 3 to 4 part series. This one is very much about the designing and the kind of like working out exactly what I wanted to build and a little bit of that first day. The second part will be the actual making the bike, learn how to braze, and then we will finally get to a point where we build it and ride it as well. But before we get down to those sort of things, what is the course? So the course happens in Leytonstone in East London in the Stayer workshop. This is the same workshop that we build all our manufacturing bikes, more recently the carry-ons, so it is very much an active workshop. So you're not just experiencing how to build a bike in a kind of teaching area, it is very much in a real world workshop. So there's bits and pieces all over the workshop that you'll spend time looking at and exploring. Like I've been there for a long time now and I still every now and then spot something that I've never noticed before. There's 2 main parts of the course. The drawing meeting that you have at the beginning to design and work out what you're going to build, and then the 5 days that are actually in the workshop. The drawing meeting, which is what we're going to talk about a bit more in this video, is a Zoom meeting, so you can do it over Zoom whenever it fits, and you can essentially work out exactly what you're going to build. We can order all the bits you need for that build ahead of time. The course is then split into 2 variations. The standard 101, which is a Stayer proven designed bike, so it's one of our gravel mountain bikes or road bikes, or even the Stayer B that you can choose between, so essentially a design that we've already designed for you, or there's the full custom course. The full custom course essentially is what we're going to be doing in this series. It's if you have something a little bit more out there that you want to do yourself, or you very much have a design of a bike that you want to create, that's the one for you. Obviously, I'm going to link the website down below so you can go and actually look at the difference between the courses, look at pricing and things like that, and any information that you don't get from these videos will be in there. Now, on to the interesting part. I have a bike in my head that is inspired by several other bikes, and I want to show you which ones they are. So I have lots of bikes, and I actually have a handmade bike made by Sam, the Stayer B. Naturally, when I started thinking about this, I was like, I could do a 26er, I could do something like the Stayer B, but a 26er, but I already have 26ers. I quite like riding the old frames if I'm going to have a 26er. And then if I was just going to do a 650B retro kind of mountain bike frame like the Stayer B, I've already got that. So I thought long and hard about the kind of bikes that I definitely don't have and what would be cool to have and ride, and I landed with a step through. So I went lots of different places to research bikes and step throughs in particular, and Instagram being a big one of those, but also Radovis and bikepacking.com, looking at both of their coverages of previous bespokes. The first one that I found that I was like, this is something, is actually from Stayer Cycles. I like the fact that it was a kind of a mixed D kind of style step through. I liked the way that it was kind of a little bit traditional, bit trad, and I liked the thinner tubing on it. But after more searching, I decided maybe something a little bit more ATB-ish, a bit more slack. At that point, I went down a rabbit hole looking at Stooges and their geos, but also the Gus Boots Wilson from Riv. This was also not quite there. I needed something, or wanted something, just a little bit more tighter as far as the chainstays goes, and a little bit more kind of a relaxed fork as well, so that it was a bit more grounded, kind of for trails as well as just kind of potting around. I also had a look at the chunk that's on Crumpworks. I love the way these look built. They got loads of clearance for tyres as well, which is also another big thing, or big tick. I even then actually spent a long time looking at the Bad Granny from Sour. This bike is kind of a little bit kind of off pace from what I was looking at, but I just liked the geo and stuff and the way it looked. It's a rad looking bike, especially this picture here. So in amongst that stuff is the geo and the kind of the ride feel of what I wanted to build, but I wanted to obviously have a little bit of a tweak of the design and the way that it looked. For that, the bike that I couldn't get out of my head was Chris of Good Grief. He built this last year for Bespoke in Dresden. Now, ignoring the smaller front wheel, because my bike will have the same wheels at both ends, but the way that the top tubes kind of went through the bike was super desirable. It looked really, really cool, and I kind of liked the idea of my bike being a little bit in this world as far as the look, not the wheelie bar. I don't need the wheelies. I don't do wheelies. Right then, so we know what we're building, give or take a little bit. The next stage is to then have your drawing meeting with Sam. The drawing meeting was a good hour. It was actually probably a lot longer than an hour because we jibber-jabbered throughout, just generally anyway. But the actual drawing meeting, I've basically uploaded an uncut version that goes up at the same time as this video. So if you're really into the nitty gritty of the designs, the measurements even, and the numbers we put into the geos, I would go and watch that. It's not the most entertaining video to look at because it is just the drawing on the screen and the numbers changing throughout. So you may want to put your headphones in and kind of like sit back and listen to it more than watch it. But it's extremely interesting, and I learned so much from it around geos and how the frames kind of the design works, so it's really good. But for this video I'm going to show you a part of that video, which is me and Sam talking about the swoopiness of the front end.
So this is a very swoopy look at that. Yeah, your trail figure is 95, right?
Yeah.
Imagine the opposite of low trail. It's like if it's twitchy with your low trail, this is like driving a bus.
Yeah. I mean,
it feels a bit extreme to me. But that doesn't mean that it's not desirable if that's the sort of thing you're into. My feeling is that if you're going to be building for 650B, first and foremost, and maybe also wanting to be able to fit like a plus size 26 in there as well, that we should think about just dialing it back a little bit. I'm just going to get us back to where we were.
I do like the swoopiness and the kind of that is cool. But also, if I do, like I said, I do want it to be a bit of a trail bike and stuff. So I need something. So if I do get a little bit techie on it or something, I've got that. That's the kind of the way that I'm looking at it. So I feel like it's on the techier end of the swoop.
Yeah. I think that makes sense. I think that's the thing with the 650B wheel size as well, is that they are a little bit more maneuverable. You are, I mean, from what you said before, you're looking for the shorter rear end, quite a tucked chainstay length, and to have a kind of maneuverable rear end to a bicycle with a very, very, it's certainly going to be interesting and desirable by some, I would say. Also, because of the style of the bike that we're making, I mean, we are theoretically going to have this third attachment point to the head tube.
Yes,
which is in a way going to act as a little bit of a sort of not a gusset, but a head tube reinforcement. You see, as the head tube kind of does this, right? What you're doing is you're increasing that angle, the sort of leverage on your head tube.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that your brazing won't be absolutely top notch, but it might be nice to have it a little bit.
No, exactly.
So if you're keen on seeing the rest of that video, I will link it down below, or it's on the screen right now. But it is about 40 minutes and we go into so much detail on the geos essentially and working out roughly what my bike will look like as far as measurements go. It was really interesting. There was so much stuff that I knew about, but I didn't really know what that meant. There's so many times you'll ride a bike and you'll be like, oh, that's that feeling. And then you'll ride another bike and you're like, oh, that feels different because of this. But I didn't know what all that meant or why those things were. So it was a really good chance for me to learn more about geometries of bicycles and kind of what I liked as well, which was really cool. So there we have it. I now know what my bike is roughly going to look like. It's going to be a step through with some kind of top tubes that kind of go through the bike with some little bits of support here and there, and it's going to be quite slack. It's going to have a short-ish rear end. It's going to have 27.5 wheels, but there'll be space to have 26-inch plus size tyres on there as well, and it's starting to feel like an actual bike. But that's kind of where this video is going to end. But before we finish this one, here's a little montage of it, what to expect from next week's video. I've heard Sam say the 101 course is a very steep learning curve, and I always go, yeah, that's fair enough. But actually doing it, like, it was crazy. It's so much kind of that you need to learn and get your head around in such a short amount of time. But the way that Sam does it and puts it all together just makes it doable and super achievable. Day one, I thought I was never ever going to be able to braze. Day two, similar feelings. And day three, it just kind of clicked. So yeah, it was super cool. So if you want to see the next video, which is going to be the actual building of the frame, and by the end of that video you will see the final bike, it's probably a great time to subscribe to the channel. You can do it by clicking this button right here. It's absolutely free and it helps me out a bunch. And if you can't wait until next week's video, that one up there is a particularly good one.